Okay, so finding inverses. Whenever you're finding the inverse of any equation, you are switching x and y. And then we solve for y. And a lot of times the inverse notation is required as part of your answer. So knowing what that inverse notation is and remembering to use it is important to your life. So we actually talked about a lot in class, like the inverse of e is ln. The inverse of log base 10 is 10 to the x. The inverse of 2 to the x is log base 2 of x. So we use that as like facts. We did a whole homework on it, really. But we want to make sure we're practicing good methods when it's not just a simple function, that we're actually switching x and y and we're solving. So let's make sure we do that in these ones. I know the answer to this one is y equals 5 to the x, but let's go through the process of finding the inverse. So the first thing we do is we switch x and y. You pluck them out with tweezers, nothing else moves except for the single x and the single y. Now we got to solve for y, and y is inside the log. So we have to change to exponential. The base is 5. The exponent is x, is equal to y. There it is. Okay. Number 2 is a little bit more involved. Find f inverse. We got to use that notation in the end. You might want to like go down here and go, okay, make sure I write my final answer like that. And there's a multiplier here. Okay, so it's not just going to be 3 to the x. It's going to be some kind of multiplier. There's going to be something going on here. So switch x and y. Well, we know f of x is like the letter y. So x equals 1/2 log base 3 of y. Okay, now in order to change the form, we've got to get the log by itself. So we have to get rid of the 1/2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And then I'm going to change the form. The base is 3. The exponent is 2x is equal to y. Now, don't forget, we wrote at the bottom to use the inverse notation. So inverse is equal to 3 to the 2x. Write the inverse of ln of x. Ooh, fancy. Yeah, Miss Newman got fancy. Okay. Well, there's 2 things we need to know here. First of all, we're going to switch x and y. X equals ln of y. But then we need to change the form, and in order to do that, we need to know that the base of ln is e. So this is log base e of y. So the base is e. The exponent is x. Is equal to y. That's the inverse function. And finally, last but not least, find f inverse. So again, using that notation, f inverse of x, the end, okay. We've got to switch x and y. F of x means y, so x equals 9 to the 2y. It's in exponential form, and I want to get that exponent to come down. So I have to change it to log form. So log, the base is 9, of whatever equals the exponent. So x must go inside here. Okay, well, we haven't solved for y yet. So I've got to solve for y by dividing by 2, or also known as multiplying by 1/2. And then I have to use inverse notation. So right here, 1/2 log base 9 of x.